You're listening to Pato's Powerhouse.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's podcast. This is Pato welcoming you and thanking you because, well, I know you have options. And boy, do you have options, man. There's all kinds of apps, where you can download and or just listen to podcasts. There's Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Play. Then there's Podchaser, you can go online and then heck, we even have our own app where you can listen to our podcast. So there is options. And then once you go into those apps, into those places, like iHeart and all those places, wow, there's like a million and millions and millions. It's an ocean full of podcasts, It's crazy. There are way too many options. And, I am very grateful that you are here listening to what this fool's got to say. So, thinking about all those many options that already exist, and how we're just swimming in a world full of digital information and podcasts everywhere, we thought that what the world really needed is another podcast. So, coming soon, man, I don't have a drum roll here to do like little announcement, but coming soon, we're going to have a new podcast coming to you called Tales from the Guard Shack. And let me tell you one thing, this obviously, if you haven't figured it out by now, if you've been listening to Pato's Powerhouse or Cursory Overload, if you haven't figured it out, one of the gigs that these two hardworking motherfuckers known as K-Dog and Pato, one of the gigs we do and we've been doing for years is security. So, Tales from the Guard Shack are security guard related. So if you're a security guard, ever worked as a security guard, or are planning to work as a security guard, or know a security guard, chances are you'll get a kick out of the stories. And you know what? The thing is that some of the stories here, they're true. You can't make this shit up. You just, it's ridiculous. So, be on the lookout. It's coming soon. And what I mean soon, probably a month or two, maybe. Probably by January. Tales from the Guard Shack. In the meantime, we're going to be reminding you just in pretty much every podcast that I get a chance, I'll remind you. And speaking of reminders, it's December 6th. We still got a few days till Christmas, and I've already told you that hunger doesn't take a holiday. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a big advocate of food banks. I wholeheartedly believe that, if you have a few extra bucks, or you can help out someone, in need, help out your local food banks, because they help out a lot of people. And I like to stress out the fact that yes, there are some people that are abusing the system. No doubt about it. But among those, there are people that are in legitimate need. And without our help, it's hard to believe that here in America, people can go hungry. So, let's do our part. And like I said, help the food banks in your neck of the woods. And if you got $5-10 to spare, firstfoodbank.org. That's St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix, Arizona. St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix, Arizona. Uh, like I said, if you have a 5-10 bucks to spare, you know, and you want to donate them, you can go to firstfoodbank.org, or you can go to pdgpodcast.com, go to Pato's Powerhouse button, go to the page, Pato's Powerhouse. Pato, man, this is Peter Piper picked the peck of pickled peppers. This is turning into a tongue twister. Go to Pato's Powerhouse page and go to the links, and you'll see it there, a link for St. Mary's Food Bank. Because, nobody should go hungry, right? And, 5-10 bucks, we waste that on junk. And it could make a big difference in someone's life, and I've said this before, I am not affiliated in any way with St. Mary's Food Bank. I have nothing to do with them except that once, and more than once, like I said, I went through a period in my life a few years back where, thanks to St. Mary's Food Bank and its affiliates, I was able to put food on my table. All right. There, we said that. So we talked about the podcast. We talked about how it's going to be fun because, obviously, you got all these kinds of different security guards. Hollywood makes security guards look like total dorks. I don't know what their problem is. We're the first line of defense, right? And yeah, you got your total dorks that fit the description. But then you got some good people, And we're going to talk about all because, let's face it, some of these stories that we're going to talk about in that podcast, you would think that they're straight out of fiction, a book, some writer's fiction, and no, some of them are true, and it's amazing. Wow. So, that being said, I just wanted to thank you for listening, for listening to this podcast and letting me tell you about new projects that we're bringing on. And, can you believe that I've been doing this for almost a year? December 10 will be a year. I feel bad that I took down all the other episodes. For a while there, I wanted to clean up my act as far as I wanted Pato the Ghostwriter Playhouse to be rated E for everyone. And for a while there, I was doing that, but I wasn't doing what I feel I'm supposed to be doing. And not that I'm supposed to be cussing up a storm. It's just that, let's be realistic. If the situation calls for it, I don't want to feel shackled. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to speak my mind, speak freely. And like I said, it's different. So thank you for tuning in. And, I wish I would have left the episode up, my first episode, because, I was basically steaming because, you know what, I'm not going to assume that you've heard this already, but I'm going to say the first episode I ever recorded, I was just ranting about some doofus that went into the break room, took the last of the coffee, and there was like 3 or 4 of us in line there waiting for coffee, and he took the last of it, and he gave us that look like, see ya bitches, and just left the empty coffee pot there, not even bothering to turn off the machine or anything, or sorry, and the thing is that, come on, don't be that person. If you're at work, at your place of employment, and you're in your break room, make another pot of coffee. It takes a few seconds, and it keeps the rest of us from wanting to kill you. I joked around about it that in that episode, which I wish I would have kept it. But I joked about how Samuel L. Jackson would have been proud of me because I used the word motherfucker like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, then I believe I went into my theory that the Star Wars prequels failed because, well, they had Samuel L. Jackson in all three of them, and not once did Master Windu say the word said. Not once did he say motherfucker. And that just would have been that would. I mean, just one of these days. I'm gonna rewatch The Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith and all those. Just to point out all the opportunities where Master Windu could have, Samuel L. Jackson could have inserted his, well, how can I say this? His signature, motherfucker. I've always said the man says that word in a way that I think it's an art form. Okay, there. I think I did. Yeah, I did the beep at the beginning, and this episode obviously will be marked explicit. And that's one of the things that brings me to a little explanation from the last episode. Last episode, I paid tribute to someone very special, someone that was a part of my life for a short time, but made a big impact. And I was very choked up as I was speaking. I had to re-listen to the episode because obviously I like to do that to ensure quality. But bottom line is, I listened to it and I felt pretty choked up, and I was having 10 million thoughts go through my head at once. And one of the things that, like I explained, someone deceived me. Someone told me that he had passed years ago, and I accepted it. I just took it at face value. I didn't follow up on it, which I believe that's what bothered me the most. This regret, that why didn't I reach out? And I know why I didn't reach out. I mean, my life had fallen apart, and I did not want to be around church people who would be asking questions about, where's this person and all this and that, and oh, you need to do this, and they mean well, but at that time I was just in a place in my life where I didn't want to be around any religious people. And it's not because a lot of people say, well, yeah, when you're backsliding and you're sinning, you don't want to be around people. It's not necessarily that. It's just that, this is an episode for another day, where I will explain my religious views, I guess. And then we can have some people listen and probably hate on me for that, but it's all gravy, baby. All I'm going to say is that I am very grateful that God blessed me with the opportunity to meet D.C. Seville. May the brother rest in peace. Also, I guess during this time that I've been mourning my friend, President Bush died. The old guy. W is still around. And you know what? I felt such sadness for that too. It's incredible. It's I believe President Bush was one of my first elections. I voted, and I voted for President Bush, but Bill Clinton won. It's crazy. And gosh, that was an interesting political